Hey everybody, it's me, John Anthony Chihak Soltero. I am the anti-hero, and I'm here today with my top 10 pickups for 2022. So these are the top 10 books that I was able to get through the year 2022. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the stories behind some of them. I have one honorable mention, but I'm going to go through them from 10 to 1. One being, of course, the most important book that I picked up. All of these are really cool books. So, number 10 is Flaming Carrot Comics, number 16. This is the first appearance of the Mystery Men, specifically Mr. Furious and the Shoveler, which became the basis for, of course, the Mystery Men movie, which is I loved. I actually saw it in theaters with my mom, and I think it helped her appreciate like what I love about comic books and superheroes and things like that. And I was actually thinking about Mystery Men the other day, and I kind of want to do a breakdown on it, where because the movie itself, yeah, it's comedy and it's not meant to be taken seriously, but the basis for it is really about acceptance in a number of facets. So I'm going to do a breakdown on Mystery Men the movie, but number 10 on my list for this year, Flaming Carrot Comics 16. Obscure book, right? Number 9 on my list. I owned this when it first came out. Probably sold it, in a long box full of books for like 5 cents a piece, something ridiculous like that. TV show came out this year. I did love the story, and I've been compiling the graphic novels, and I had issues like 2 through 4 that I was able to pick up real dirt cheap. But I picked this up from Sam, who works at Harley's Toys and Comics, and it is DMZ number 1. It's the first appearance of Z. It's the first appearance of I forget the name of the journalist. My big hope from that TV show, like I feel like you're not getting a sequel or a second season with it, but my big hope was the very like you could have even done it as a post-credit scene on the last episode, like you see like a helo come down, and like person steps out, and you just sort of pan up and you just see a press pass, and then it cuts right there, and then you got a potential start for season 2. I thought that would have been a great idea. Number 8 is a 9.6 slab Daredevil number 9, First Echo. I've been getting into the crazy stupid thing behind the story of this is one of those FOMO pickups, but it's also one of those pickups where I bought the original Volume 2 Daredevil series by Kevin Smith, 1 through 8, right? And then I was just like, well, Kevin Smith's run is done. I'm not buying Daredevil anymore. And the very next issue was like the key of that run with the first appearance of Echo. Beautiful David Mack cover. Echo's pretty significant because of her the fact that she's disabled. I mean, she's deaf, and she's also Native. So that's kind of 2 points of representation. And this was late 90s, like 99, I believe, 98, 99. Wasn't as prevalent back then to have somebody who was disabled or Native. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of Native characters over the years, but not really that many. And especially with the advent of a lot of television shows, movies with Indigenous peoples, I think that's a really cool book to have because Maya Lopez Echo is a pretty significant character. And hopefully, she'll have, I think they were saying she's going to be more prevalent. They're doing an Echo show. So we'll see about that. So that was number 8. Number 7 is a 9.4 all new Marvel Now .1 number 1. This is the first full appearance of Kamala Khan Miss Marvel. She appeared. She had two big cameos in like Ms. Marvel or Captain Marvel before this, and then this is her first appearance. I believe it's also her first cover appearance on a first print. I think there was a couple of other books where they did second, third prints where she was on it. I loved the Miss Marvel show. I thought it was really well done. Another another spotlighting of a character that's not traditional. She's Muslim. She's, like she said, the brown girl doesn't save the day kind of thing. And there was a lot to Kamala Khan's character in Miss Marvel that really resonated with me in terms of I don't know a lot about Islam or the Muslim culture. I don't know a lot about India and the division with Pakistan and everything. So that gave me a lot of learning lessons, but also seeing culture represented and how it affects me and how I see it in relation to being Chicano and growing up and having that relation with my parents and my sister and all those things was really, really prevalent to me and hit home. Plus, it just amazingly acted, and the little Easter eggs at the end if you haven't seen it with the little music and stuff like that, and the new costume that she gets I thought was great as well. That's also kind of a series about acceptance, at least in the TV show. What was that? Number 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6 just arrived today. I was hoping it was going to arrive in time. Number 6 is Infinite Crisis. Number 4, this is the Jim Lee cover. That's the only bad thing about this. Signed by George Perez. I picked this up from Rick Funk and Collector's Haven up in like the Phoenix, Scottsdale area here in Arizona. I buy quite a bit of stuff from the Collector's Haven team, and so it's kind of cool. It was very cool because, I mean, what are my chances? I unfortunately never got to meet George Perez, heard nothing but amazing things about him, his interactions with fans, and just the things that he did for comic books and being an ambassador and just being an amazing, like if you talk about work rate, in the combination with pro wrestlers, like George Perez was work rate for comic books, modern comic books, like the last 40 years, just cranking out stuff. And he's also, a lot of people with George Perez are like, his Avengers meant so much to me, his Justice League meant so much to me. For me, it was actually the Teen Titans, because as you can see behind me, right there, is a graded first appearance of Dick Grayson as Nightwing. And so that's why George Perez means a lot to me, because, Nightwing, Dick Grayson Nightwing specifically, is like my favorite character in the entire world. So this is like an amazing book to have. Doesn't have a COA, but I mean, it's from Collector's Haven. I know it's totally legit. And I'm going to get it CBCS verified and slabbed. I don't know if they have to grade it at the same time. I kind of just want it verified. Like, I don't care what grade it is. It's got some dings on it and stuff like that, but I mean, that's not really that big a deal to me. So number 5 is another indie book. I actually got a couple of indie books here, like 3 or 4 of them in this top 10. This is a book that when I read the whole shebang, like, loved it. Independent AF, Rob Schrab's Scud, the Disposable Assassin, #1, first print, first appearance of Scud, the Disposable Assassin. It's an 8.5, so it's not a super duper high grade, but it's an indie book, like an indie book that's an 8.5, a first print. This is from 1994. This is 30 years old. Believe it or not, this is 30 years old. Like, this series debuted 30 years ago, right? Scud is just such a fun character to read. The concept behind the story is amazing. If you haven't read Scud, you don't know anything about Scud, my boy Uncle Jerk Comics, did an amazing deep dive on Rob Schrab, and Scud the Disposable Assassin specifically, and it's amazing. So check out his. You know what? I'm going to put a link in the description. So if you want to check it out, check the link in the description, and then also like and subscribe to Jerk Comics. He does some amazing deep dives, some amazing reviews. He did a 7-part series on Jack Kirby, Lord of Light, and it was just phenomenal. Like salivating at like part 6 for this to be completely over because it was that epic. And then he's just like, stay tuned for part 7, and I'm like, I hate you so much because now I got to tune in because I need to know the rest of this story, right? But yeah, Scud the Disposable Assassin's like one of those little indie that could kind of thing. Got a video game, got an action figure that I actually have posed back there with this slab. And it's such a fun, obscure story that you you totally wouldn't you wouldn't get it, you know, either way. Um, number 4. Number 4 is a book that I've wanted for a while, and I was able to get a nice high grade copy. And I was thinking of slabbing this, but I mean, other than just having it slabbed, I don't know what the point of slabbing it would be, um, other than to say I that way. My favorite manga, my second favorite comic book of all time, and my favorite anime ever, first print of Akira #1. Love this series, love this saga. So much so that a couple years ago I bought the big box set, the 35th anniversary one when they reissued it with like the hardbound, translated by Kodansha, that read back to front or front to back. You know, if you're Japanese, but back to front if you're an American and you're not used to reading manga. And they reissued all the panels so that you read it in the correct way, which is super, super duper dope. But yeah, Tom's Comics. Tom was the longtime owner of Fantasy Comics, and he runs Tom's Comics sometimes at events, live events, but he's on Facebook as well. He does a show. Typically, he does a show on Saturday nights on Facebook, and he also does a show on Monday nights on Facebook. So definitely check him out as well. He's a super cool guy. That Flaming Carrot Comics First Mystery Men I also got from Tom as well in a big bundle, which I was super stoked about because all I really wanted was that issue. Number 3 is another book that I've wanted for a long time. I didn't pull the trigger on it back when it was affordable in a higher grade. This I got from Grey Ghost Comics, who also sold me the Marvel .1 in a bundle with this book. Like I said, I love the Teen Titans. That's where I know George Perez from. And this is the first appearance of the Teen Titans. DC Comics presents number 26. It's low grade. Don't get me wrong. I don't care. I mean, the high grade of this book, you know, is in the hundreds, you know, multiples of hundreds if you're looking for it in super high grade. But all I wanted was the first appearance of the Teen Titans. And, you know, like I said, should have bought this 3 years ago when I could have gotten it for, I could have gotten like for like maybe 40 bucks a copy. And I just decided not to. But, you know, here we go. Toby Gray, Grey Ghost Comics, good guy, sells good books. I had a handful of other books that I was that I got from him that I was considering, and then I you know, got the George Perez one today, and this one I didn't lose it. It was stacked in with other books on the back shelf, and I couldn't find it. And I was just like, this is definitely in my top 10 for this year. All right, so before I get to my number 2 and number 1, I'm doing my honorable mention. This is a book I was never looking for, never, you know, it was never really on my radar. But when I saw it at Bookman's, and I had, you know, a good amount of trade with me, and then I've got like a hookup there who was just like, I'm going to give you a discount if you buy this right now. So A 9.2, Shazam #1 from 1973. This is the first appearance of Shazam in DC Comics. So this is the first time Shazam is, or Captain Marvel, as he actually is in DC Comics after being purchased or bought out, like when they bought Fawcett out and got Captain Marvel. So it's listed as the first appearance of Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Marvel since the Golden Age, their origin retold. Really classic, iconic cover as well. You know, kind of the face off between the two Golden Age characters, one that was outselling the other for some time, which caused National Comics at that time, which became DC, of course, to sue Fawcett Comics out of existence. You know, but there you go. Also, Shazam was an amazing movie. I loved it. I thought it was the appropriate amount of comedy. And I thought it was just, they did a really, really good job with that. So, my number 2, some people might say this is a cheat. I don't consider it a cheat because of everything that went into acquiring this book. 5 years, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of heartbreak, and sacrificing my then holy grail, Amazing Spider-Man 129, to make sure that this came to be. The Bubba Patrol #5. Justice League first appearance homage cover, so Brave and the Bold 28 homage, with the characters fighting Poyo Jira in the place of Starro the Conqueror. This book means so much to me because I didn't know if this was going to happen or not. The crowdfunding campaign did not go nearly as well as I had anticipated, as I hoped, as I was sure that it would go. And so to have this book in my hands, this is the first one that I pulled out of the box. So to me, this is my prototype, my proof, or what have you. This book means so much to me because this was such a labor of love and a passion project that unless you've done that and given your character's life, these are all my dogs, you know. So it means that much to me to be able to tell the full story and to have everything in place. This is the end of the first story arc, and a culmination of 20 or 10 years in 2010 or 2012 when I did the first imagery, and 5 years since the first issue came out and started working on it when Guri died. Part of this was actually supposed to be issue 4. Issue 4 was like a double-sized issue. It was 40 pages. And I got to page 26 when I was penciling issue 4, and I was like, that's a great stopping point. And so then I just decided to turn this into issue 5, and I padded it out a little bit, but not padded like where you just add like stuff that doesn't matter so that you get more pages. Like everything that I added into issue 5 made the book even more complete. And so if you love independent comics, then and you love dogs, superheroes, then you understand why this means so very much to me. And if you've ever created anything in your entire life and struggled with it, you know. Dreams come true. You have to work for them. You have to be willing to sacrifice for them, and sometimes it hurts a lot. But when you see it in your hands, it really means a lot. Like selling that first Punisher hurt so much to me, and when I handed it off and I got the money, then I knew I would be able to print this book. It didn't make me feel better. And when I saw that the person who bought the Punisher book had it in hand and it delivered perfect to them, it didn't make me feel any better. And then when this came back from the printers and I opened it up and I took it outside and I read it to Guri and Foley. And I came back in and I like moved the boxes and everything. and it was sitting on this desk, and I walk by and I touch it, and that's what it hit. Everything was worth it. All that sacrifice, all that toil, giving up my grail, my prized possession of my comic book was worth this. And I know, like, I go on and on about that book, so like what could be number one, right? The only book that could possibly beat out Bubba Patrol issue 5 is a book that was inspired by the Bubba Patrol. Young girl named Sully showed up at Tucson Comic Con this year and handed me this, the Pet Patrol issue number 1. Vale's cutest heroes team up to battle Brutus the Killer Hawk. I can't tell you what seeing this meant to me. That a kid read my book. I love when anybody reads my book. I didn't specifically make the Bubba Patrol for kids, right? It's a great book for kids to read, yes, but it's an all ages book, and I actually made it for myself. I was very selfish in what I did to create the Bubba Patrol because I made it for me to pay tribute to my dogs, to show the world that I love them, right? But to know that a kid read my work, loved it, has her own pets, and decided to make her own comic book, and then brought it with her to Tucson Con and gave me a copy of it. I am beyond proud of what the Bubba Patrol means, right? Because if it can inspire a young creator, and maybe Sully doesn't end up creating comic books. Maybe Sully ends up, becoming a chef or like a famous musician or what have you. The being inspired by my work to do what you love and to work hard towards it at such a young age is fascinating to me, and it's just the most amazing thing that may have ever happened for me. It's certainly the most amazing thing that happened to me this year. It made my Tucson Comic Con, which was already going really well. Like, that was the icing on the cake. And then getting the piece of artwork featuring Cypress was the cherry on top of the icing on the cake. Being able to see the effect that this book has on the community, on readers, is beyond amazing. So that's why Bubba Patrol issue 5 had to be number 2, and the Pet Patrol had to be number 1. I don't think there's any other choice in that matter. I just want to say thank you guys for those of you who watch, have subscribed, who've stuck with me, because there's been some lean times this year where I didn't do a lot. Trying to get back into it and doing this, like do one video a week or something like that. So to watch the video by Jerk Comics on Rob Schraub's Scud, check the link below. And then, just keep reading comics, collect what you love, buy what you love. Don't let somebody tell you that one comic doesn't matter versus another, or that you need this variant, or you need this edition, or you need a first print. Collect what you love. Don't hurt yourself by doing it. And what I mean by that is don't hurt yourself financially and don't hurt yourself mentally. If you don't get the book that you wanted this week because you got outbid or you didn't, you know, you didn't get to the shop on time. It's okay. Just collect what you love and be supportive of those who collect what they love. And always, always, always take care of yourselves.